Okay. Uh, I'm here, Todd Kelman here from the Cardiff Devils, catching up with Mark Richardson, currently not with the Cardiff Devils, playing over in Germany. How's it going, Richie?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Todd. Thanks for having me on for a quick catch up here. It's been a while.
Yeah. So tell everyone where you are, because I don't want to try to pronounce it. I'd rather you pronounce it.
So I'm in a very small town called Bad Nauheim. Um, it's about 30 minutes from Frankfurt. As I say, just a small town, very nice town. Quite a few ex-Devils have played here in the past and all had great things to say about it. So obviously they were here in very different times where they could get out and see more. But it's a very very nice small town and very nice people.
Is that where Lordo played when he was in Germany?
No, I think Lordo was more to the south in the mountains, that kind of area.
Okay. So right now, your team is back playing. I know you guys were on pause for COVID for a while, but you're not playing. You had COVID, or you have it.
Yes, I had it. So it was kind of a bit unlucky for me. So the kind of protocol here is they test when there's any symptoms. So the first phase is if a guy has symptoms, he must do a quick test at the rink, and then if that's positive, he does another quick test. If that's positive, then everyone must go home and then gets an appointment to go for a PCR test. And then everyone obviously has to go home and wait for these results. And we ended up having 4 guys test positive on the PCR test, which meant that we all had to go into quarantine for 2 weeks. And obviously in Germany, it's all run by individual states' health departments. So here is actually being one of the lower kind of areas for coronavirus. So they're a little bit more lenient. And after a week in quarantine, the guys who originally tested negative were allowed to go and practice for an hour a day in small groups. And but before we could do that, we had to test again, and unfortunately I was positive. So I was sent home into quarantine, and obviously
And
then a few days later.
Did you feel sick when you tested positive?
No, I felt absolutely fine. Went down to practice and even for the next few days was fine. And then the symptoms kind of started a little bit, lost my smell, and I was a bit tired and lethargic, and but nothing too bad. And then all of a sudden for a week straight, I was waking up every night, like sweating, and obviously that wasn't very comfortable. But in general, I didn't feel too bad. But the problem for me was I was obviously a week behind the other guys, so I had to stay in quarantine a bit longer, and I was one of the guys who probably had the worst symptoms. So I've had to stay off the ice a little bit longer.
So how long have you been off the ice now?
So the last time I played a game was a month ago yesterday.
Oh,
wow. So yeah, hopefully I'm just waiting on one more round of blood tests to make sure everything's okay, and should be back on the ice the next couple of days.
And what about
here? Obviously,
did you guys
went lots of checks, for a heart and everything, and
okay. Yeah.
And we've really been looked after. And there's been a few guys around the league, including our captain here in Bad Nauheim, who have had to, been told to take up to 3 months off, because there was some problems with the heart. So these checks were obviously very important, and as I say, they've really looked after us.
Well, And the league itself, like, have there been? I think I talked to you around. Maybe it was in November, December, and the whole league was on. Or has the league been on a pause, or was it just a few teams that kind of?
Yeah, no, there's not been any full shutdown of the league at all. The way they've tried to manage it is obviously if a team gets it, they're in quarantine for 2 weeks. So then they just try to rearrange games, between teams that aren't in quarantine, and to try and keep the games ticking over. Obviously, that's been a lot easier with no fans. And I think now there's possibly only one, maybe two teams that actually haven't been in quarantine so far.
Wow. So the league itself, you've played what, about how many games you played? About 20 games?
22, I think the team has played now.
And are they shortening the season at all? I mean, talk to me a little bit about. I think people would be interested in the level of hockey in the DEL too, because it's quite a good league still. I mean,
Yeah.
the DEL is the top league in Germany. The DEL2 is just under that. There's a couple ex-coaches from the UK Elite League. Corey Nielsen is coaching over there, and so is Pete Russell as well. But it's a good league, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very good. I've been very impressed with the league. Obviously, for people that don't know, there's 4 imports per team, and then probably on most teams, another 5 to 7, German Czechs or German Canadians who are classed as German players. No, it's a very high skill level. A lot of young guys with lots of speed and who are all obviously looking to impress and get up to the DEL. I think, for our team here, we rely a lot on the young guys who play in Cologne in the DEL. So how it works is basically every team kind of has an affiliation with the DEL team. So the young guys can come up and down. So, it's some games we'll have 8 D-men, and then some guys get called up, or we had 3 guys go to the World Juniors for a month. So then we're playing with 4 D-men. So it's very up and down, but no, as I say, some very, very good young players. And the hockey has been fun. It's very open. There's quite a lot of scoring. I'd say that's probably been the big difference between playing in the elite league. It's extremely open and offensive hockey, but it's been a lot of fun. And as you say, yeah, we're 22 games in, and I think there's only 11 weeks maybe left of the regular season, and we have to play 30 games still. So at the moment, there's no plans on shortening the regular season.
Yeah.
I think it's still up in the air a little bit with regards to relegation play, and they've already changed the playoffs from, normally they do the system where you have top 6 make the playoffs, and then 7 to 10 have to play like a mini series to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think they've scrapped that, so it's just going to be top 8. But I think there's still some discussions on how they're going to work the playoffs. I think in the past they would have maybe either cancelled playoffs or shortened them, but this is the first year that there's the opportunity for some teams to be promoted to the DEL. So there's a lot to consider, and the same goes with relegation. In my opinion, I don't think it would be fair on a team to be relegated this year.
Yeah.
And the DEL are not having any relegation. If someone is promoted, they'll play with an extra team for 1 year. But I think they're hoping to release this information and make some decisions soon.
And the league itself, still no fans, or playing with limited fans, or how's that work?
No, 0 fans. Yeah, it's funny, but when I first came over, I think for pre-season, teams were allowed, well, depending on what state you were in, you were allowed a certain number of fans, and I think we had maybe around 1,000, and it was amazing atmosphere. This was in pre-season, and obviously before I came, I'd heard some some really good things about the crowds. Obviously a lot of rinks are pretty much standing only, and really good atmospheres. But no, as we started the regular season with no fans, they were hoping that would only be for a couple of months, but I think now it's pretty clear it's going to be the whole season without fans.
Yeah, I think it's I mean, it's crazy to think of that you could get in 30 games in 11 weeks. That'd be like as busy as an NHL schedule right now. So I think they'll probably be looking at that potentially to reduce that. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of factors. I mean, the rink we have here is, and there's a few around the league that are kind of partly open,
Yeah.
And I think once you start getting into the end of April, May time, it'd be too warm to play, a lot of games on these rinks. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to consider. There's also always the chance of a team having to quarantine again,
Yeah.
towards the end of the season, in playoffs, etc. So yeah, there's a lot to think about, but hopefully they'll figure these things out soon.
And what about general life in Germany? Are you able to wander around the town? Are you able to get out?
Yeah, here it's not too strict. A few states have some stricter rules, but I mean, I think like most places in the world right now, there's not really a lot to do. Nothing's open now. No cafes, restaurants. You can get takeaways or what have you, but it's pretty much practice. Gym and supermarket, home kind of thing. It's there's not much going on,
Yeah.
but obviously very lucky to have a job and be able to play.
Yeah. No, it's worked. I mean, it's I don't think any of us ever imagined it being this long, but it's worked out for you guys that we're able to get jobs and get across to these different countries and leagues that we're starting up. So it's great, but it must be difficult. You've been, obviously couldn't come home for Christmas. Your family couldn't get over there for Christmas, so it's been a long haul without seeing Sarah and Grace, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I mean this is obviously the toughest part of it. I mean, um, without their support to do this, I wouldn't be able to do it because it's very tough at times, as you say, especially around Christmas and recently Grace's birthday and these times, and obviously with homeschooling going on and Sarah trying to work, it's just been very tough for them, and obviously I really appreciate that have their support to do this, and obviously I'm sure there's other guys away from their families and stuff right now, and as I say, I'm just very very lucky. There's lots of guys who aren't playing hockey right now,
Yeah.
so I'm very lucky.
Have you been keeping up on the other leagues where the guys are around Europe and around the world?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, try and follow all the guys. Try and follow the results and highlights, etc., and speak to the guys here and there when I can. It seems that everyone who has gone away has been doing well, and enjoying hockey as much as you can. I mean, it is very different without fans. I think at first it was okay. It was kind of all right. We'll have fans back in a little while, but as you get more and more games like this, you really understand how much the the crowds mean to the game.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to Katrina earlier about this today, about saying how much people playing in sport, like whether it's ice hockey, whether it's football, whatever, I think the players are going to have a new appreciation for fans. Not that we haven't always appreciated them, but I think you realize how important fans and making noise and just that atmosphere, what they bring. It's strange enough watching sport. I've watched a lot of hockey. Probably watched most of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits games, and
Yeah.
they're allowed small crowds, but it's very strange watching sport without crowds. And I think the players themselves at every level are going to appreciate getting fans back in the building and making some noise for them.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I think it's, for me, I'd say it's one of those things when you jump on the ice and you're playing your shift, you probably don't notice so much, and but it's, when there's a goal and there's kind of just nothing, or a big hit, or,
Yeah.
whatever, you a big penalty kill, and normally then the crowd kind of gets you going, kind of thing. It's that's when you notice it. It's obviously the sooner the better. Fans can be in the building, and obviously this means that hopefully coronavirus is under control, and in the big picture people aren't at risk. But obviously it's going to be once we get back into Ice Arena Wales with crowds, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it do you do anything different to try to get motivated? Is it like a real mental thing to try to get motivated for the games, or is it used to it now?
I've been okay. I think for me, I'm quite relaxed anyway, with my approach to a game. I'm not one of these guys that's too hyped up, but I mean, I could imagine for some of these guys who are like that, it must be tough, like it is very quiet at times in the rink. And no, I can see that some guys might struggle with motivation. I mean, we've had a few games this year where, either we've won by quite a few goals or lost by quite a few goals, and it kind of almost feels like it's just a training match at some point. It's it can be a little bit tough, but no, for me personally, it's not been too bad.
Yeah, you saw Mosey, Evan Mosey just went to Freiburg in Germany in the DEL2. I think he's pretty happy to be. He was in France, obviously, for the fans that are wondering about it, and they just weren't playing any games. He'd start up and then they'd get shut down, and I think he had a few chances to go to Germany, so he finally landed on a team. So hopefully you'll run into them soon. Do you play them soon?
Well, yeah, we still have to play them 3 times, so I would imagine we must play them pretty soon. But no, just touching on that, I think I mean, a lot of leagues have kind of struggled, like France especially, I think, with lockdowns and rules, etc. We've been very lucky here that ice hockey in Germany receives so much government support, whether that be financially and just being able to play through these times, kind of thing. So no, I think Evan will do very well in this league. I think like I said earlier, it's a lot of speed, a lot of skill. And no, I think it will really suit him.
Yeah.
So no, I look forward to seeing him, and I'm sure he'll have plenty to say.
Oh, imagine that guy a few months not talking to anyone. My goodness, I don't think he had too many imports speaking English in France. So, well, listen, I don't want to keep you too long and I try to keep these around 20 minutes just so the fans can watch the whole thing. But last thing, do you have any message for the Devils fans that are probably following online, seeing how you're doing, but can't wait to get you back in a Devils uniform back in Ice Arena Wales?
No, obviously, first thing is I just hope that everybody is staying as safe as possible, and hopefully sticking to the guidelines. The quicker that we can get through this, and the quicker we can get ice hockey back in Cardiff, the better. And obviously can't wait to step on the ice again at Ice Arena Wales in front of everyone. And that's going to be a very special day when we can do that. Nice.
Well, thanks, Richie. All the best. We hope you get better, or as better as you can, to get back on the ice and COVID free. And wishing you all the best for the remainder of the season. Hopefully your team, I know you guys are I think you're in about 10th place, so you got a little work to do to make the playoffs.
Yeah, a little work, a few games in hand, but we need to put some games together here.
Yeah. Well, good luck, and I'm sure we'll catch up one more time before the season ends. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Todd.